Joe Andrews, welcome back to Progress. Thank you for making time to rejoin us for some conversation as we start to celebrate our 40th anniversary and our 30th anniversary of being public.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to meet you. I know we met for the first time yesterday, but I've heard a lot about you. I'm just happy to be here. I can't tell you how thrilled. When I got the email from Leah about coming to do this for the 40th year, I think my heart started, a little pitter-patter, because it's like being home.
Well, as it should. You put almost two decades of care and sweat, maybe some tears, hopefully not too many, into building a great culture here at Progress and creating a great work home for now 2,000 people. I think it was growing steadily throughout the time that you were here. So I have to thank you as well, because I felt really fortunate to land here at a company where the people are so incredible, and there's such a great mix of personality and skills and style, and just wonderful, wonderful humans that you can meet walking the hall, either in person or virtually. That within a few weeks of being here, when I joined Progress almost 2 years ago now, I was just particularly grateful that a company had managed to come this far and still hold some really important tenets true the whole time. And I think that one of those is people first, which I have to imagine you played a hand in.
Well, thank you. I can't take all the credit. I'd like to take maybe 95% of it, but I'll take a little bit. No, seriously. You know what's amazing about Progress? And just to hear you say that just feels awesome, because I know we put a lot of time and energy into the culture, right? But one thing about Progress has always had this individuality about it. And we were full of characters. And regardless of the fact that we were full of characters, and I can go through some of the characters later, it's just really interesting that still exists and that you can still say that about Progress, because that's what made it fun.
How did when I start a new role, there are always a couple of affirmative things that happen where I'm like, I made a good choice.
Yeah.
It is as I suspected it would be, or it was what I sort of looked for in my interview process. What was one of those for you?
I started at Progress before I was an employee, because I was invited to go to Sales Kickoff, which was in Orlando, if I remember correctly. It was just amazing. I mean, I had been at conferences before and kickoffs before, but this one, first of all, Progress knows how to put on an event.
Yeah, Progress knows how to party.
They know how to put on it, really. And to have a chance to meet all the executives in more of a, professional but social perspective, it just made it so much easier to transition into the company. And a number of the board members were there as well.
Nice.
I got to know those guys. And it was just watching the people walk across the stage, right, for those who had a good year, and seeing their faces and the joy about doing so well, particularly coming off a challenging year. But that was a meaningful event, because it set the stage for what I would say is a new Progress. Because from that moment on, starting at that kickoff and coming off that leadership meeting, everything started to change. We had basically a whole new leadership team, or a mixture of folks. And so as I think about my first transition in, that was really what it was. So when I arrived on February 10th of 1997, it was kind of like, okay, well, I've been here. I know who the folks are. Now I got to just, as we touched on yesterday, walk the halls. And I would say, and all the HR people I speak to, there used to be a term called management by walking around. It was coined, I think, by Tom Peters back in the early 80s, maybe mid 80s. For the HR people that do that, and I know you do that, that's the kind of HR person that I'd want if I was a CEO, because we have to we have to understand what's going on in the deepest parts of the organization.
Yeah.
There was a woman. She is the queen of Progress software, as far as I'm concerned. Mary CK. Mary CK. Her daughter worked there as well.
And we have a scholarship in her name that we've established, which we're really proud of too.
I think which is wonderful. Yeah. It's such an honor, because
it is an honor.
She was the soul of the company. And any time, and I would always make it a point to let's go see her every couple of weeks, and we would just chit chat and talk about her life and how she got to imagine. She started off. There weren't many women in software, so when you think about the trail that she blazed,
incredibly pioneering, yes,
amazing, and she was unbelievable at bug fixes, right? If anybody had an issue, even the brightest guy, the brightest minds in Progress would go see Mary to talk about something. And I can remember going to see her, and she had this little office downstairs, kind of away from everything in development. And she was like, I mean this, very positive. It was like having a mother in a company, because she was just so in touch with what was really going on. And so if we were doing something at the top level, first visit, I'd go down and talk to Mary and say, hey, Mary, we're thinking about doing this. What do you think people are how do you think they'll feel about it? What's the thought? And she was very honest. And so, when you are able to make connections with people in the organization that aren't the top names in the organization, it helps out tremendously. Connected to that, it was Joe, because Joe spent a lot of time with his employees. Joe Alsop loved his employees. He would take an immense amount of time to talk with them, go to the cafeteria. When you go to the cafeteria, he always sat with employees, talk with them about what was going on. Joe had this big, boisterous laugh, and you could really feel it. So all the building blocks were already in play, and maybe because of the way that I operated, it worked for those 18 years. Maybe. I had a lot of friends. That's what I had. I had a lot of friends.
I think that's a testament when you can look back at that chapter or that story in your career and know that you have friends that you have built out of it. The time we spend with people is our most valuable time. So let's make sure it's time well spent. And you're touching on sort of, authentic people and personalities. I've seen a lot of that at Progress too. And this year I've seen even more of it, because even if it wasn't our plan, we have brought our full authentic selves to work, right? With our kids or our spouses or other people running in and out of our home offices for the last year and a half. So we didn't have a choice to be authentic sometimes.
It's a family. Progress really is a family. I was thinking, as you were just talking, I was thinking about, there was a question that Leah had sent to me. She asked a question like, what was one of your proudest moments? And, I think about the folks walking across the stage at sales kickoff. But for me, praise was probably the most special thing, because it's a peer reward program, and so much energy went into that program throughout the entire year. And to see the folks win those awards across the globe was just so meaningful for me, because it's a recognition. It's one thing that, if your boss say, hey, you do a really nice job, right? But for your peers, to say that you're pretty special, your team's pretty special, really made, I think, a big difference. And a lot of companies can't do a praise. I don't know why they can't do a praise, but Progress we always had something a little different. But when we did the event prior to that, we'd always go to some hotel and we'd recognize folks at this event. It would always be this like little social thing and then dinner. But you got a chance to meet the employee's partner or sister or mother.
They're plus one.
They're plus one.
Yeah.
And wow, it just, I get emotional about it.
Yeah.
Because it
sure,
was,
you made memories together.
It was really special. And when you go through things like that and you have to work on hard things, you said earlier about it's hard to be friends with people at work. And I did the same thing. But inevitably, people do it all the time, right? So inevitably you get close to the people you work with, and particularly if you're there for a long time and you get to know their families and what they go through. It's hard when hard things happen. We've had deaths in the company. We lost somebody at a kickoff, a sales kickoff in Orlando, which was really difficult to deal with. We've had suicides at the company. And when you go through things like that, 9/11 was really, really hard. And I really appreciate what happened during that time, because Joe, from an HR perspective, when your leader selects you and he pulls you aside afterwards and says, thank you. Not like you did a good job, because that's you assume that you're going to do a good job, but he says, thank you for helping us get through that really tough time. Then it's better than doing a comp plan or some special development program. You knew you really did something special, and I think back about those times, and I felt really special, but that was because of the people that were surrounding me. So
yeah, it was, when I joined Progress, I think it was about 3 or 4 months before the beginning of the pandemic. Obviously, we didn't know what was in store for us in 2019 and 2020. And at sort of different intervals along the way, I looked back, even in the moment, sort of with like clear recent hindsight, that it is an honor to be able to do your best to care for people through trying times, whether it's 9/11 or an unforeseen pandemic, et cetera, and to be able to put people's safety first. And I sort of think of any company as a ship with all the souls aboard, right? And so you're sort of always cataloging, how many souls am I caring for today? How many lives are we impacting by the choices we make? And sometimes those are small and meaningful, and sometimes they have a different scale. And it has been an honor to work with this team. And I think I'm very proud of how Progress as a whole has responded to just uncharted times and come together as a family and as a company to support one another. We really talk a lot about being Progress proud here, and that is like at the heart of some of our values and how we conduct ourselves in our business. And so
you guys are going to send me a T-shirt that says Progress proud?
I mean, yeah, I think we can make that happen for sure. And like your CEO, our CEO, I think, is somebody who cares very genuinely about our people and about people in general, but especially our people. And as you were telling me stories about Joe, I kept sort of like keeping a list in my mind of, yep, Yogesh does this. Yes, Yogesh walks around and gets to know people and understands people. At the end of the day, you know that every one of them cares genuinely about the people on their team and in Progress as a whole. So I'm really grateful that has been a truth for 40 years.
You know what's interesting is a couple of years ago, I don't talk to a lot of Progress people like I do. I know when I left in 2014, I got over 700 emails from employees. I swear to you, I still have them. And it was just so wonderful that they would just want to say thank you and goodbye and all that stuff. It was really wonderful. And I know, with any company, you always go through progressions, of CEOs. And when Joe moved on and Rick came and then Jay and Phil, they all did their best during that time. When Yogesh came, the emails came back. And what I mean by that was it seemed like it was the new old Progress, because you can't be the way you were.
You can never stand in the same river twice.
Exactly. And so, but the culture aspect of it was coming back. And that was, and what I've heard about Yogesh, and I just met him for the first time today, just when people were telling me this about that, it was like it's almost like relief, because even though you go, and one day, 17 years from now, you're gonna look back and you'll just be leaving Progress, and people will say, oh, thank you, Katie, for everything you did, and something new will come on by, and you realize that, wow, what we did was special, and it was special enough that, someone who came back recognized some tenets that we carry. We can't have all the things, but if you just keep some of those core tenets and add your own special sauce to it, which is Peter Kulikoski's favorite line, if you add your own special sauce to it, it makes it a wonderful opportunity. And I can't imagine what you and Yogesh and the leadership team are going through during these unprecedented times. But we'll look back on this and the decisions, and I'm going to put any pressure on you, but the decisions you guys have made and will make will tell the story of Progress in the future. And I say this to you, I do a lot of advising with CEOs and board members now. This is a conversation that comes up every time. These decisions you're about to make are significant. And they're significant culturally, not just it's about the people's safety, but good luck.
Well, there are incredibly good bones here, as we like to say. So thanks for a structure that has been a pleasure to continue to build on.
That was really nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your sweet response. It was really
you're
nice.
welcome. You're welcome.